Today on our Tech for Business podcast, join Jason, our vCIO, and Sara, our customer relationship manager, as they delve into their CIT journeys and unpack the evolving tech demands of the commercial workspace industry.
So yesterday I was having a lunch meeting with an old coworker of mine. She works at a commercial furniture dealership. And she said to me, what are you doing? How did you make this transition? So, a little bit of history on me is I was at a dealership. I moved to a rep role. So we were commercial furniture dealership reps for manufacturers that manufactured commercial office furniture. So we were the go-between the dealer and the manufacturer. And so she was having a hard time understanding where I was and what I was doing, what an MSP was.
So many acronyms.
Yeah, I know, so many acronyms. So I just thought it would be good to do a quick podcast and throw it out there to say, this is what we're doing. This is why I'm here. How did I make the switch from designer to tech? It just seemed really important. And I know you will do a good job of explaining it in this venue.
Well, I like to talk. The trick is making it short and sweet, and that's a fair challenge. So,
all right, you got 10 minutes.
That's right. I got 10 minutes. Go. This is at its core a passion project, and my philosophy around understanding what I would call servant leadership very much informs what I think is the approach that I have tried to push within CIT to developing a specialized offering of technology services that solve the business problems of those commercial workspace dealerships that you just mentioned.
Yes.
And humanizes technology in a way that I don't think I've ever really experienced with this kind of product. So what we're taking in many cases are sort of generic capabilities, right? Well, I need email, I need security services, I need all this stuff, right? And in some ways, first of all, taking what is a traditional delivery model and simplifying it. Just because from a business standpoint, I don't want my clients to feel like they have to be IT experts and tangled up in the minutia. Because one of my philosophies around technology leadership is my job is to help business leaders do business, not be worried about the tech minutia. As much as we as geeks like to explain how we did things, it usually causes somebody to glaze over. It's great. I know you're smart. I know you know your thing. I could sit and explain to you how furniture goes together. But at the end of the day, I don't need to know that. What I need to know is that I can trust you, that you understand what it is that I'm doing, and that you're out there looking for solutions that help me do that work better, faster, more efficiently. And right. In the case of designers, I've told this story so many times, and it truly is. It feels like a dumb
Good
moment.
Story.
When a designer called me and was having a problem rendering an image because a salesperson needed to do a proposal on Monday, and she was missing her kid's birthday party. And it was a moment that changed my career because I said, we have failed. As technologists, we have failed. And how do I fix this problem? And it put me on what was ultimately a very kind of a bad business choice for me, which is pivoting from being someone who sold services for 4 years to someone who sold hardware and services that's completely screwed up the way. Like I wasn't prepared for the business implications of doing that. I was on this crusade to solve this problem. And what I didn't have was scale. I didn't have organization. I had big ideas. And I wanted to make it even bigger than that. So look, just solving the rendering problem for designers using the specific tool is really important. Not just because it's a way for me to figure out how to make money, which it was, but because it's solving a real problem that affects their quality of life. Like this designer couldn't spend time with their children, or they're crashing and trying to do work and trying to get work out the door. And it's like the tool you need to do your best work isn't functioning properly because we as technologists haven't solved that problem. So
right.
Can I take that? Yeah.
Yeah, that relates back to what I used to do, where you were struggling so much with the IT infrastructure, you couldn't do your job. So, no. I mean, it's so relatable to me when you say that. I wish I would have had you to help me for the last 20 years.
Well, thank you. Wow. I mean, I've only been at it I'm approaching 20 years in the industry, but I'm not there yet.
Right.
But I think it's important that if I step back for a second, because a lot of people who I've worked with in the industry know me as a design advocate, as someone who's helped figure out what laptops to buy and how to do this and that. But I had to become an IT leader in a business context where I was managing a large budget and I was delivering on compliance requirements and all these other things that are really critical to the end product that a designer or anyone else in a dealership as a user experiences. But I had to admit that it's almost table stakes that you have to get the basic functions of IT right to ensure the experience of those designers and everybody else. And when I look at the function of an MSP or managed services provider, which really is just, it's kind of a virtual IT department, right? Instead of having either somebody on staff all the time that does those things, you hire a company that has a bunch of talent on tap that can fractionalize and just give you what you need when you need it, but you're not hiring them full time. You're not hiring a person at CIT to do your work. You're hiring the CIT team to deliver a service to you, a complete turnkey service, if you will. Right. And we can supplement other teams, or we can just do it all for you.
Right. And the other thing, which I think is so great about our team, is that we are all from the industry.
Yeah.
We understand what you're doing. We understand your roadblocks. We understand your, bottlenecks.
We worked in dealerships and most of it. And I think, Sarah, I extend that to the work you do because I was telling somebody else this who's gone through a career transition, because I know Alexandra on the Design Pop podcast, which if you don't listen to, you absolutely should, even if you know nothing about this industry. What a great what a gem to listen to if you're interested. So sidebar. Anyway, people who've transitioned from working in dealerships have had to deal with some, it's a very tough industry to work in. Profit margins are low. There's a lot of stress. It's evolving in many ways. And I just think if you've done well in a dealership, if you survived almost and you move on to something else, you've just been conditioned to work at a level that I think is really impressive and really applicable outside. And that's why there's this great ecosystem of independent consultants and people who've moved into manufacturer roles or whatever that all came from dealerships and have kind of almost paid their dues, right? But it's a fascinating world. And I'm really excited and proud of the fact that CIT has hired multiple people from dealerships who have a passion for the industry. And what I found really interesting was someone by the name of Derek, who, if you come to the CIT experience in a couple of months here, will be joining us. People within CIT have seen what we're doing and they've become passionate about the industry.
Right.
Like, I love what you're doing in the context of specializing to help these designers and these people who work in dealerships and project management or accounting or wherever else it is that they're working, because a dealership may only have maybe 10 or 20% of their staff designers. They have a whole lot of people who work there that all need technology products. And the challenge, which is tremendous, is how do we take economy of scale by using products and services that have best practices and have established ways of doing a great job, and then sort of curate that ability to deliver those services cost effectively to a dealer specific context of doing business and delivering technology. So we're not just taking generic off the shelf solutions and saying, oh, yep, this is right for you. I've got a hammer. So the nails, all your problems with nails. No, we're actually customizing, but also building scale around it. And there's a real balancing act to doing it that way. And so we take people who don't have a background in commercial workspace services and we understand how do we use the product services we offer. And some of the things that maybe a designer doesn't necessarily think about in their day job, right? But how we deliver services can affect the clients you can sell to, because they might have compliance requirements around how you do technology that we have to be able to help you demonstrate, for example. And that's part of our security practice that we have. And we can bring you a fractional vCIO, which is an information security officer, when you need it. Right. And that's what I love about what we do, because I feel like even as someone who is a technology leader who ran my own team in a dealership with great technicians, I feel like we ran it in a kind of a different context because we were corporately owned. And a lot of the things that we as a managed service provider have to do were inherent in the technology services I had to deliver as a technology leader there. And I will admit a lot of bias in bringing that concept and then evolving it to what we're doing with CIT. And again, we're hiring technicians with design experience. We're hiring Sara, who has a design background and knows how to do business development, knows how to talk to dealerships and listen. Because part of our job is not just to say we have all the solutions, is to listen and develop new solutions. And that's something that Derek did with us very recently. Developing a capability that does two things that nobody ever even thought were possible. One is, can I build a virtual design computer that could run that you could access from a Mac and run CET Designer? I'm going to pause for a minute. I'm not saying you're running CET Designer on the Mac. I'm saying we've got a capability that one of our technicians is developing that we're actually prototyping and testing with designers who are having good experiences running advanced applications in that kind of space, which gives designers and gives IT people, dealerships, tremendous flexibility they haven't had before. So
Right.
what we're trying to do is solve the impossible problems. I think I got a great piece of wisdom from somebody at Target a long time ago, which was, go look for the problem nobody else has been willing or able to solve before and take a fresh crack at it. And I am so humbled that I'm surrounded by a team of people who don't shy away from those kinds of challenges. They say, yeah, let's do it. Let's try it.
Yeah, it's been exciting. It's been really exciting for me.
Exactly.
I like to solve problems, so it's been fun.
Yeah, and our marketing team, I think, has definitely embraced it. And I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about it officially yet, but we have decided to brand this initiative something. And you'll hear about it for sure at CETX if you go.
Yes.
Likely you hear a bit about it beforehand as well. And maybe I've scooped it because I can't help but talk about it because I'm really excited because
It's exciting.
they understand what we're doing and they have found a way, I think, to describe it in one word. And I love it. So there you go. So in a nutshell version,
right? Shameless plugging. We'll be at CET, the user conference, doing some big presentations.
In Grand
And
Rapids.
then Jason and I don't know if anybody will be around, but wandering around MiniCon, saying hi to everybody.
Yeah. So if you're in person at MiniCon here in Minneapolis, I believe next month.
Yeah.
We'll be there. And then early October, Grand Rapids, Michigan. Come on out. We'll have some exciting things. We've talked about some technical innovations. We've been officially joined Configure as Service Partner Program, and we are doing some top secret things with them right now that we'll be talking more about in a couple of months that I think a lot of you will be excited by. So, yeah, Sarah, there you go. Does that fit the bill? Does that help when you have a discussion with somebody that we've contextualized it a bit?
Yeah, I think that's good.
Cool. Well, good talking to you.
Yeah, you too.
Thank you for joining us today. If you'd like to get in contact with anyone on this podcast, please reach out to us at info@cit-net.com or head out to our website, cit-net.com/podcast. We'll be back next week with an all-new episode.